Today, I'm going to show you how to create your very own web clipper for Obsidian using shortcuts. Now, if you know anything about Obsidian, then you know on your desktop or on your Macs, they have a web clipper and you understand how powerful it is to be able to see something online and just to be able to clip it as you see fit. That's what you're going to learn how to do today. Let's talk about it. How's it going? Will here, and we're gonna dive straight in because we got a lot to cover. Now, the cool thing about this is I recommend you follow along with me as I do this. You can break out your iPad or break out your phone, and you can literally build this shortcut with me. Now, if you don't want to do that, by all means, you will find a shortcut below, and let's dig in. All right, so here we are at my iPad. I'm just gonna run my shortcut. So I'm just gonna say, it's a certain way I like to do shortcuts. You're gonna get to see that today. So I'm gonna say shortcuts, new project is gonna run. So as you can see right now, we're here. I'm actually going to be building inside of my dashboard. So I'm gonna be building over here. So I'm going to actually be creating. You can see this is new shortcut. That's what that is. And if you're wondering how I did that, this is just a shortcut that allows me to open up shortcuts and pretext. And if you look down here, it sets the ratio. So I only want this to be small, and you can see up here, I want that to be big. All right. So we're going to add a new shortcut, and we're going to call this shortcut Obsidian. All right, so that's what we're gonna call it, Obsidian Clipper. The easier you make this name, the easier it'll be for you to find later. So you wanna make sure whatever you name your shortcut, you name it something that you're gonna remember, okay? So the very first thing I like to do, which you're gonna see might be different if you watch someone else, but because my mind don't naturally think as a coder, a web developer, or whatever you wanna call it, I have to write things down. So I write down what I want to do, and then I write out the steps I need to take to accomplish that. And if you know anything about shortcuts, shortcuts work top down. So we're gonna create our whatever it is we want to do, beginning with the first thing we gotta do to the last thing in the perfect order, because that's how shortcuts gonna run. All right, so let's start. Let's create a new document. I'm gonna call this, we can call this Obsidian Web Clipper. I can say create. I'm gonna have this as a markdown file. I'm gonna say create. Now, I like to have this, the very first thing we want our web clipper to do is to grab the URL. If you think about it, I want to grab the URL. So I'm gonna say grab URL of whatever it is I'm clipping. If I'm clipping something online, I want it to have the URL. The next thing I want to do is, this is Obsidian, so I want to save the title as the note, because inside of Obsidian on the side, like if we open up Obsidian, let's open it up really quickly just so you can see what I'm talking about. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. So I already finding that note, but let's see. All right. So if we come over here and you look on the side right here, you can see where this right here, this Apple redesigns its shortcuts app in iOS 17. This is a clipping, but you can see that name also shows up right here, where you can see shortcut user guide. That name, whatever the title is what shows up over here. So I like to know that whatever whatever the title is going to be the name I want to show up over here. So this is the reason why we want to be very specific with how we do it. All right, so I'm gonna say, I want the title, save title as file name, because that's what it's gonna pull from. Then I want, let's see, highlighted. So my highlighted area is gonna be the best part, okay? So this is gonna be best part of article. And if I highlighted some, 9 times out of 10, I believe in writing something in my own words. So I'm gonna create a section that's called thoughts. So the thoughts is just gonna simply be my take. After I got the title, after I pulled the URL, I got the title, I got my highlighted part of the article that I wanna highlight, I write my own thoughts behind it. The next thing I'm gonna wanna do is save the article. I'm gonna want to save it. So I'm gonna save the file and I'm gonna drop it into my test folder. Now you would drop yours into your inbox instead of your test folder. But I created a test folder inside of my Obsidian. So if we go over here and check this out really quickly, you will want to drop yours in your inbox, which is right here. You can see my inbox is clean, but I'm going to be using this test folder because once it's done, I'm going to delete it. As you can see, this is my actual real Obsidian account. I didn't create a fictitious one for this project. All right, so that's what I'm going to be putting it in my test folder. Now, this is what I want to do. So the very first thing I like to do is add a comment. Now, the comment just tells me what it is. So I'm going to type up something really quickly. All right, so as you can see, I'm finished. So this is going to be version 1.0. I just wrote a quick little comment on what this should be doing. So it's a web clipper that I can use to save things from the web into Obsidian as a markdown file and save it into the test folder. Now, since I'm actually going to be using this, I'm going to actually switch this to my inbox folder. So I'm going to actually switch this to inbox because I'm actually going to be using this folder. So I'm going to say inbox. Now, the first thing we want to do is start with what we need to do first. So the first thing we need to do is go over to what we can go to Safari because this is what we're going to be pulling from. Safari has the most actions. Safari is the one that I use. So this is going to be primarily set up to be used within Safari using the share sheet. So the first thing I want to do is get URL. Everything we do inside of this web clipper is going to be based on the URL and pulling certain things from that URL. So first things first, I'm going to click on get URL. All right, so this is what we're going to do, get details of article. So I'm going to just pull this over here, drop it right there. We're going to click right here. Now, when we come down, this details, we want it to come from the shortcut input. That's going to bring up your share sheet. We're going to open up this. Instead of saying any, we're going to clear this. We want this specifically to only work for the web. So we're going to say web page, URLs, and articles, because this is what we want. We want the ability to be able to clip anything we want from the web. So we're going to check these three. Now, you could pull a lot more from other places as well, but I highly recommend you just stick with these for now. So I'm going to say done. So now you can see that changed. The next thing we want to do is we still got, we said get the URL. Now we can say, we can select variable and we can say shortcut input because this right here is in between it, it didn't automatically do it. But what this is saying is get shortcut input. So I'm going to say I want to get, the get type is going to be URL. So instead of text, we don't want text, we want the URL. So we're going to change that type to URL. So now this right here is going to be URL, get URL from shortcut input. All right. Now, if we wanted to, we could change this to page URL. So let's do this, connect those two, and we can click on get URL from shortcut. That's what we want to do. All right, and now since I moved it up, it gave me that option. Now, once I do that, the next thing I want to do, because we're not done, the next thing we need to do is get that URL. Because just because it got the URL here, it doesn't necessarily mean it got it. So we need a get from. So we're going to say get URL, which is this, get URL from input. This is the one we want. We're going to drop it right there. I'm going to actually put this back right here now that it allowed me to do URL. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm actually getting the right one. So get URL from, and I'm going to get this URL from right here. So we're going to clear this out just to make sure that we have it, clear variable. And I'm going to say select magic variable, and I'm going to say URL. All right, we definitely want that to say that. Because get URL from shortcut, now I want to get this URL from here. All right, now if we wanted to see if this will work, to make sure we're doing it right, all we have to do is go over, well, first we're going to have to click right here and click on show and share sheet. All right, and we can have an alert box pop up or something. So let's come back over here to here. We can say alert, and we can put this right here. And then it's asking me what do I want it to say. I can drop down and I can select the variable, and the variable I can select is URL. And now if this works, it says show cancel button. That's fine. I want to show that. So now what I want to do is I want to go back over to, actually, we need to open up a Safari page as well. All right. So now it should get obsidian.markdown.md. Once we click on share, we're going to scroll down until we see Obsidian Clipper, which is right here. Once I click it, it says, you can see a port that says HTTPS Obsidian Markdown. Do you want to continue? I'm going to say cancel. So we know that's working. So we know this right here is working. So I can delete this. We have the URL. So now what we want to do is we can say get title. Now, I want to show you something. You see this set variable? I'll show you. You can see what it does. It allows you to give anything the name you want. So if I come over here and I drop this right here, I could say, instead of it saying URL, I could say, I could still call it, I could say article URL. So I can have it set to that. I could say enter, and now I know article URL is this URL right here. Or I could say source, okay, source URL. Now, the cool thing about set name variable is when you get to the part where you have to pick variables and build out your file, it's easy for you to use. The downside to setting a variable is sometimes it glitch when you use the variable that you created instead of the actual variable, instead of the original variable versus the custom variable. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to show you, hopefully it glitched so I can show you what I'm talking about. If not, just know sometimes if it's not working, just remove the set variable, and for whatever reason, it'll work. So now that we've taken care of this part right here, the URL, now we need to get the title. The way we're going to get the title is we're going to go back to get details. So we're going to say article. Well, we can just click on Safari. And now we're going to say get details of article. All right. I'm going to click right there. And you can see it says from. So the source URL, we want to get the details from the source URL. And what I'm going to say is the details that I want to get is the title. All right. Now, if I want to, I can come over here and say set variable because this is the title. So I could say, okay, I don't want to get variable. What I want to do is set variable. So I'm going to come over here, click on set variable. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to name this. I could say article title. Now, here's the cool thing about this. I could say enter. As we going down, all I'm doing is looking over here to know what comes next. This helps me to keep things clear in my head, and it gives me a hint at what I need to do next. So if I'm creating a more complicated app or, shortcut, then I'm able to look over here, see where I'm stuck at, and I'm able to fix that point or hone in on that specific part before I move on to the next part. So right now, it's going straight down. It's going to pull all this information. All right. So right now, all we're doing is grabbing the information from the article. The next thing is highlighted. Now, highlighted, there's no such thing as a highlight inside of shortcuts, at least to my knowledge at the time of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a copy to clipboard. Now, whatever we copy is the part that we wanted to highlight. So what I want to do is I want to say, so actually I should have did we're going to go back. See, I don't want to copy the clipboard. What I want to do is get clipboard. Now, get clipboard is going to allow whatever you copy is automatically on the clipboard. So if you copy something, that's going to be like the equivalent of your highlight. So now what I can do is I could say set variable, and I can call this highlight. All right, say enter. So now we got our URL taken care of. We know our URL is being pulled. We pull in our title from the source URL, which is right here. And now we're highlighting. The highlighting part works on whatever you highlight. So that part don't much matter, but is 9 times 10 is going to be on the web page if you're using the web clipper. All right. The next thing we want to do is I want a way to add in my own thoughts, because as you know, if you read a good article, it has you have some thoughts, and you can highlight the key part of that article, and then you're able to write in your thoughts so you can know why you highlighted it to begin with. So in order to do that, all we have to do is get a ask for input. Now, ask for input does exactly what it sounds like. It allows us to ask for input. So I'm going to just type in what I wanted to say right quick. Okay, so now you can see it says what you thinking. All right, and there's going to be a text that pop up. And you can see down here, I can have a default answer if I wanted to. Like I could say nothing, but I don't want to have a default answer. Or if I wanted to, I can have the clipboard right here as well, but I don't want to use the clipboard. So now that I have this, I can say, I can keep with the naming convention and say set variable. And I can come right here. Okay, it didn't go down there. All right, once I see the green, I'm gonna drop it. And I can say my thoughts, enter. That's going to be what that name is. And now you can see that we have all the key elements we need for this web clipper. We have our URL, we have our title, we have our highlighted, whatever we highlighted or copy to our clipboard is going to be a highlight. We also have our own personal thoughts. Now, the next thing we need to do is make this into a file. Right now, it's not doing anything. It's pulling all that information, but it doesn't know like where to put the information. So in order to store it, what we're going to use is a text. So we're going to just say text. And if you click on the eye, it's going to tell you what it does. It allows you to pass text through. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to pull this all the way down. I'm going to wait until I see the green symbol. Then I'm going to let it go. So the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to have this as, instead of having a title at the top, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the highlighted part, because in Obsidian, the title going to automatically show at the top, plus it's going to show on the side. We're going to skip over the title part and we're just going to go straight for the highlighted section. First thing I want to do is I want to save my highlighted. I'm going to drop down a space. And the next thing I want to do is say my thoughts. And then after that, I want to say source. And then I want the source URL. Now you can see how come we renamed it, making it super easy. But again, sometimes it's a little finicky. But if we get to that point, I'll show you. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to save file. Now, before we can save the file, we first have to rename the file. All right, so I'm going to just click up here to get rid of that so we can actually see we got our highlight at the very top. We got my thoughts or I thought second. And after that, we have our source URL if we ever want to go back to refer to that source. Now, the reason why I have it like this is because for me personally, I noticed that after I read something, that's when I want to leave a comment. If I leave a comment at the top, for my mind, it don't work like that, because normally, even if I'm clipping something from the web, it's always I clip that thing and then I leave remarks underneath it. If it works better for you in the reverse, like it do for some people, then by all means, you just click on my thoughts first, then whatever your highlighted part was. The next thing we want to do is rename this file. So we're going to say set name. All right, we don't want to, it is one up in here that say rename file, and I shouldn't have said that, because if you try to use this, it's not gonna work. You literally have to be renaming an actual file that's already existing. If not, it's not gonna work. So what you want to do is you want to click on set name. All right, so once we click on set name, notice I did not put I didn't rename this. And the reason why is because let's see if it, okay, let's say set variable just to show you. All right, so I'm going to set this as a variable. I'm going to click right there. Now this is text, so I could say, we can say formatted title. All right, so that's what it is. Now, if I come over here and I say set name, now if this is happening to you where you're finding a hard time dropping it exactly where you want, what you can do is you can just drop it. And if you come in here and just say add to shortcut, it automatically adds it on its own and you don't have to play that game with it. So now what I want to do is say set. Now you see where it disappeared? That's a glitch. So you just Command Z to undo. Now what I can do right here is I can say title, which is right here. But if I say select variable, I can come up here and you can see that, let's see here. Here's the title right here. Here's the article title. So normally I would use this because I get less glitches, but we're going to use article title just to see. So I'm going to say article title. And after article title, I'm going to say okay. And now what I want to do is I want to scroll down here. All right, let's clear this out really quickly because it's not cooperating with me. So I'm going to say .md, and then I'm going to come over here and say article title. Then I'm going to say enter. So we need it to be a .md file. Now I'm going to say save. So you can see save file. And now what I want to do is put this here, but since it's not working right, I could just say add shortcut. All right, you can see it said renamed. So you want it to say renamed. I can turn this off, which is going to now ask me where do I want to save it. I can say, okay, I want to save this up under, I'm going to navigate to my folder inside of iCloud because for me, I store Obsidian files on my iCloud so I can have access to it everywhere. All right, so I'm going to navigate to iCloud. I'm going to navigate to my Obsidian file. All right, here's my Obsidian folder right here. My main folder is areas and resources, and I'm gonna drop it in my inbox. I was gonna drop it in the test folder, but since this is an actual, Obsidian Clipper is something I actually want to use for myself and not just for this example, I'm gonna actually drop it in the inbox. I'm gonna say open, and now what you'll see is this renamed item is going to be put in my inbox and it's going to be article.md. So whatever the name of the article is what it's going to be saved as. We're going to go back over to Obsidian and we're going to test it out. So this title of Obsidian is Sharpen Your Thinking. So we're going to scroll down some and see if we can't find something else we want to highlight. So I'm going to actually just grab this right here. I'm going to copy it. Then after that, I'm going to come up to the share sheet. Once at the share sheet, I'm going to scroll down until I get to Obsidian Clipper. Now, the first time you run it, it should ask you for a lot of permissions. That's a good thing. So you're going to say always allow. You can see it says, what's your thoughts? My thoughts is, I hope this worked. So I'm going to say done. And this right here is going to my clipboard and is asking me for permission. So I'm going to say always. Now we should be able to go over to Obsidian and we should be able to click in our inbox. And as you can see, Sharpen Your Thinking is right here. So you can see Obsidian, Sharpen Your Thinking. And you can see right here, I hope this work is right here. Here's what I highlighted. And if we come back over here and we click, so let's just change this to this. All right, now I click on it and you can see it'll bring me there. And all I did was turn off editing mode and put it on viewing mode. And that's just this button right here. This button right here puts you into reading mode and you can click through your links. Easy peasy. And this button right here puts you back into editing mode. Super duper simple. Now, honestly, I'm very impressed that we didn't get any glitches or any issues or anything like that, that it actually worked the first time. But to be honest with you, a lot of my shortcuts don't work that smoothly. But what you'll notice is I'm going to show you one last thing because I'm actually going to be keeping this. And like I said, I'll link it up below if you don't want to do this. But I want to show you one last thing. I'm going to change this to, let's say, on my iPad. And I got a testing folder right here. I'm going to say open. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that same one. And what you're going to notice is it's not going to come here anymore. It's going to go to a file on my desktop. Well, on my iPad. So let's go back over to Obsidian. We can come here. Let's go back to Obsidian. And this time we're going to come down some and let's just grab this. All right, so we're going to grab this piece right here. I'm going to say copy. I'm going to say share. Once at the share sheet, I'm going to scroll down to Obsidian Web Clipper. And I'm going to say, okay, so you can see I put, don't forget to hit the like if you're enjoying this video. No, seriously, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you let me know. Give me a thumbs up so I'll know you like this stuff. Now we're going to say done. And that's it. So now I can navigate to my file. So if I navigate to my file folder, I'm going to say done right here. And let's go over to my iPad because that's where it's at. Test folder right here. And now you can see that it still saves the exact same way. And if I open it up, I'm not sure what it's going to open up under. Okay, so it opened this Obsidian file opened up, this markdown file opened up inside of Grammarly, inside of my Grammarly app, which honestly I didn't know it was going to do that. That's actually pretty cool. I could actually do some things with that. But as you can see right here, everything is the same. The title is the same, this notes, and you can see here, and they corrected my grammar. How about that? And you can see the URL is the same. Everything is the same. Now, I showed you this to say this. I'm showing you how to clip anything from Obsidian, from the web to get it into Obsidian as a markdown file, but you can put these files anywhere you want. And if you decide to just download this file, download the shortcut, then literally the only thing you need to change inside of this shortcut is this right here. You're gonna click that one button. You're gonna navigate to where you want it to go. For me, I want it to go back over to Obsidian, because I'm actually going to be using this a lot. So I wanted to go to Obsidian, I wanted to go to my main folder, and I wanted to go to my inbox so that way when I drop things in, I can just sort it later. And once you do that, you'll be able to go to your Safari and you'll be able to clip anything you want. This is the beauty of using a markdown file, saving it as a markdown file. This part right here is a gem. And the cool thing about it is you're not limited with this. If it's something else you want up in here that I didn't put, you can easily bring it up in here. All you're gonna make sure you're doing is you're still pulling from the source URL. Maybe you want the author of the article. If that's the case, no worries. You can easily come up in here and you can remember get details. So get article details, which is right here. We're gonna just drop it right here, right below the text box. It's asking me what details do I want. I can get the name, URL, main image URL. I can get the number of words, the excerpt, if I want it, body, publish date, author, or title. So if I want the author, click right there, and I can say, where do I want to get this from? Okay, I want to get it from the source, which is up here, which is the, source URL. So I'll go to variable, go to source URL, and that's it. Now I can come over here, say set name. Let's see here, set name right here. And I could say author name. Hit enter. I can come down here by source. I can click on, I can say author. And then after that, I can come over here and I can say find author name, click right there. And now I can add that to it. After I've done that, now if I go back over to, let's see, Obsidian again, I want to do the same one. And what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to go to an article because I don't know if this would actually have a author name. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to published. Well, actually, I'm gonna do this one. The reason why is because I want you to see what's gonna happen if it doesn't have an author name. So let's see. It says I'm gonna copy this right here. I'm gonna say copy. I'm gonna navigate back up to the share sheet. Once at the share sheet, I'm gonna scroll down until I see Obsidian Clipper. I'm gonna say done. And now if we go back over to Obsidian, that article should be inside of my article. Now, notice, because it was already there, Obsidian automatically added in a second one. Now, because there was no author name on there, it didn't give me an author. You can see that this is that it worked, but it was no author to pull from. So I just wanted to show you that. If you have if you're asking for something and you have that and the article that you're using or the article you're looking at doesn't have that, it'll just leave that space blank because there was nothing to put there. Now what I want to do is I want to come back over here because I want to see something really quickly. So, okay, yeah, you won't be able to do it. I was going to see if you could add in like dummy text if there's nothing there, but you can't. So what I'm going to do now is let's go over to published. Okay, so here's the blog. They got it buried. All right, so we're going to read. Let's read. Okay, we could do Marcus. We're going to read Marcus's. All right, so let's say we're already getting the title, so I don't want to copy that. So let's say I want this whole chunk right here. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. Once at the share sheet, I'm going to scroll down till I get to Obsidian Clipper. I'm just going to say Marcus. I'm going to say done. Now, if I come back over to Obsidian, you can see the title was New Developer Documentation Site. And you can see right here, and you can see for whatever reason, Obsidian website doesn't, I guess they doesn't give their authors credit, or maybe Shortcuts is glitching and they just can't find the author, because we see the author as Marcus Olson, but for whatever reason, Shortcuts don't see the author as it. So maybe it's not, I'm assuming it's probably pulling this information from the metadata. And because it's not in the metadata, that's probably why it's not pulling the author. That's my guess at why it's not working, but I could be wrong. All right. So that's it. Like, it's really honestly that simple. And you can see how easy it is to edit this shortcut. Now, I personally don't want the authors. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that. And I want you to notice what just happened. When I deleted that, if you see something in red, that means it's broke. All right, so that means you gotta delete it and just redo it again. But this is how I want my web clipper, and I hope you enjoyed this. I am Will from Will Talk Tech, and yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Till next time, I have more shortcut stuff coming your way. If I'm not mistaken, the playlist is over here, and what YouTube think you will like is over here. Or I might have them in reverse. But you get it. Till next time. Later.